Yeah, the UFC certainly know how to dress the table for an upcoming super fight, and a super fight it is. It'll take place at UFC 232 on December 29th in Las Vegas. We're joined on the line by MMA reporter Phoenix Carnevale to talk about that super fight. Evening, Phoenix.
Hi, guys.
Nice to speak to you. This is possibly one of the biggest, if not the biggest, all-female fight that we've seen so far from the UFC. That's if it comes to pass now on December 29th.
Well, one of the things that's the most interesting about this fight is that Amanda and Cyborg fight with very similar styles. They're both head-to-head. They love to clash into it. They love to get into huge wars. And Cyborg has had this allure forever because she hasn't lost since 2005. So the thing is Amanda the one to beat Cyborg and take that featherweight title away from her?
Yeah, we've heard about Amanda Nunes' pedigree before, and we heard there in the promo from Joe Rogan about it. How if she ever came to come one-on-one with Ronda Rousey, which was a prospect back in the day, that she would destroy her. How likely is the prospect that Nunes can put it up to Cyborg?
Well, I'll say this. Cyborg is considered the scariest woman in women's MMA, but Amanda Nunes has put up that reputation for herself as well. One of the things that we have always criticized Cyborg for is because she was basically accused of steroids twice, and that is kind of pushed into the past. And one of the things about it is that she got a redemption, an exception, because she used it therapeutically. She's always had problems cutting weight. She's a very, very big girl, and even getting down to featherweight has been a challenge for her once or twice. So now she's there, she's comfortable, and Amanda has actually fought at featherweight before. We've always thought, okay, well, Cyborg is much bigger than these girls. She's much stronger than these girls. And having Amanda come up seems to be a bit of another, here's Cyborg being a lot stronger than her again. But the betting odds, this is the closest it's ever been for a Cyborg fight. Like, people are actually betting on Amanda for this one.
Phoenix, I want to just go back on one of those points that you made there. How much in the past is that TUE for Cyborg? I mean, you're saying it seems to be kind of, we've moved past it, but as you mentioned, 2 failures and kind of retrospectively seeking a TUE for something that she was caught for, that might rub people up the wrong way even still.
It does. That is definitely left sort of a bad taste in people's mouths when it comes to Cyborg. It's one of the reasons that people will say, oh, she can't be beaten because she's so much stronger than, this one or that one. And this is one of the things that I'm hearing often when this fight was made. Well, here it is again, a girl that's smaller going up in weight to fight her. Does she even have a chance? Stylistically, absolutely, I believe so as well. Size-wise, I think they're both 5'8". I'm not really sure how much smaller Amanda is than Cyborg, but yeah, that does definitely tarnish her reputation to some degree.
Yeah, has there been much talk about it in the build-up, or at least in the setting of this fight?
Since this fight just came about, I think it's died down a little bit. It's been more about the challenge that the two of them face, since they do have such similar styles. So I think that a little bit of that is gone to the wayside. It's more about Cyborg just being unbeatable. I mean, 2005, she's been beaten in Muay Thai fights here and there, but 2005 she hasn't been beaten. So it's a lot about that as well.
Yeah, the relationship that Cyborg has with the UFC, a relatively tetchy one, patchy one, to say the least. Fences seem to have been mended to a degree over the course of the last 12 months or so.
Well, there's been some talk that this would be Cyborg's last fight. I think what Cyborg is generally upset about is that she attempted to convince the UFC that she wanted to fight in September, because the last time she fought, it was, I think, in maybe March she defended the title. So now December means it's 9 months that she hasn't fought. So if she's looking to make money, it's a big gap in between fights. And I think she was extremely upset about that. Plus, the beginning of the relationship wasn't so great either. Dana had said some things. They worked them out. And it's a business working relationship, but she doesn't always get what she wants.
There seems to be merit for the two of them to thrash things out as long as they possibly can, because there's money to be made clearly from having Cyborg head a bill. It's not often that we see, an all-female fight headline a UFC bill, particularly that card that ends the year this time around on December 29th.
Right.
To have her still involved would seem to be a moneymaker for UFC. UFC would seem to be a moneymaker for Cyborg. It seems like it's in their best interest to brush everything under the carpet in that respect.
Right, and it might be after this fight she can demand what she wants if, again, she remains undefeated. with the woman who supposedly gives her the biggest challenge to date. So I think it's smart for her to want to negotiate that contract as soon as possible, depending on the gate, the fact that it's ending the year. It's a huge card and huge fight to end the year. So she may have some negotiating power after this.
Nunes is obviously, well, not obviously, but seems to be the junior partner essentially in this build-up. Because we talk so much, because there's so much to talk about with Cyborg that we could be forever. We could be here until 12 o'clock at night talking about the different strands that go along to her career. But when you look at Nunes' records, you know, submitting Miesha Tate, defences against Ronda Rousey, Shevchenko, Raquel Pennington, like, she's built up a catalogue of victories that should be the envy of pretty much anybody. It just happens to be that other person in this instance happens to be Cyborg. She's a hell of a fighter.
Right, she absolutely is. I mean, what she did to Raquel Pennington, personally, it was hard to watch because she had completely mauled this girl, and it just was punishment after punishment. She's an exceptional fighter, and like I keep saying, this fight stylistically is very interesting to people. Amanda's a black belt in BJJ. She's a brown belt in judo. She's an exceptional fighter as well. She's had some health issues in the past. You know, the last time she competed at 145, to my memory, I think that she actually did lose to Alexis Davis. So that 145, that difference in weight, especially against the bigger Cyborg, is what has me mildly concerned. I think stylistically it's a good fight. What does Nunes have to do then to stay in the fight as long as possible? Well, Cyborg's style has kind of changed a little bit as she's been more, she's taken her time a little bit more on her strikes. She hasn't come in with that 100%, you know, just driving energy. She's been a little bit more stylistically picky in choosing her shots, which has been a good thing, especially against someone like Holly Holm. But I think that, you know, Amanda has had that basically come out firing right away, which has made her successful and made her the champion as well. But you don't want to do that against someone like Cyborg, because that type of style leaves you vulnerable. Yeah, you be leaving yourself open to all kinds of abuse from that point on. Exactly. So we might have a couple seconds of a big feeling out period and see who's better at the transitions, who's better at mixing up the striking to the takedowns, who's better at mixing up the strikings and shifting into a dominant position. So it's going to take a very strategic game plan, which I know Amanda's team is very good at. The fact that it is, you know, one of the earlier fights announced for 232, that end of year card in Las Vegas, I mean, this is going to be a big occasion by the time it rolls around. There's a lot of talking will have to go on between now and then. I think so. And the fact that, you know, Amanda is the one who originally called Cyborg out leads a lot to the story. You know, why do you want this challenge? Why would you want to take her belt away from her? And it definitely will lead up to a very good thing. I think that having two women in the forefront for their talents, especially the fact that they're both so athletically skilled and have such a legacy, this could really be something special. A huge thing for Brazil as well. I mean, you consider it's an all-Brazilian fight. The legacy that country has, not only in the world of MMA, but particularly in the world of UFC, is quite something. I mean, this is only going to solidify that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you know, the Brazilians love to support their fighters, and this actually puts people from Brazil who are normally Brazil against whomever, Brazil against Brazil. It should be interesting to see how that plays out too. Yeah, and a hell of a check beside Nunes' I suppose name as well. The first openly gay champion in UFC history, and that's something that means a lot to her. It's something that obviously means a lot to the LGBT community around her as well, to see somebody, because we're later on in the show we're going to be talking kick it out, we're going to be talking about football. It's, you know, the most popular sport, field sport possibly in the world, and yet in English football at least there are no openly gay footballers, and whereas in the world of UFC it just doesn't seem to be that big an issue. I mean, clearly taking that step and coming out to the wider public is going to be a massive thing, but it's now something that we almost don't have to talk about or think about, you know. Yeah, because it's, in the end of the day, it's really more about who can beat you up. You know, this can't be like a masculinity thing when the whole idea of it is about fighting. Exactly. We have the small matter as well before UFC 232 of 229.
What happened between you and Artem Lobov, Khabib? Nothing.
You know what it's like being a part of the team. You're in it together.
If one of us go to war, we all go to war.
Conor McGregor sees an incident between a buddy of his, Artem, getting into it with Khabib.
And now all hell is breaking loose.
You wanna fight? Come here and that's it. Just tell me where. Why you need to come here? We have to finish this. Let's go. I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this.
Tell him I'm coming! Oh! Be careful what you ask for. And then on the fight! Wow! Nothing short of spectacular. The hype behind this contest is insane. It will be the biggest fight in history. He's a devastating striker. He is outstanding. Oh, he got tagged hard. Two destroyers. Two outstanding fighters. This is the fight that everybody wants to see. It will be massive. Surprise, surprise! The king is back!
October 6th, the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Phoenix, Khabib Nurmagomedov and Conor McGregor is going to be one hell of a contest. We've had the first promo poster put out this week. Feels like everything is kind of ramping up around this one now.
This is the second largest gate in history, according to Yahoo Sports. So,
It's insane.
I mean,
Like,
you
the
can't talk. Go ahead.
The ticket prices for this one, we saw the list as it was released there last week. It's just insane. And that they've managed, bar a couple of stragglers, to sell the place out.
He's the biggest Conor McGregor is the biggest pay-per-view draw in UFC history. I think he has like 4 out of the 6 highest gates they've ever had. He's been involved with. So it's hard to talk about McGregor without talking about money. But I use this as an example because it's just to prove how addicted the MMA public is to him, and how people have been dying to have him back, no matter what he does, no matter how he behaves or what he says. People are just in love with him.
His behaviour, obviously enough, has left a lot to be desired on the outside of the Octagon, that's to say the least, over the course of the last year or so. I was going to say, given his record and given his time away, that he has something to prove with this Khabib fight. But on the other hand, as you mentioned there, he's such a draw and is such a ticket seller that it almost doesn't matter whether he wins or loses this fight. From a business perspective, it wouldn't necessarily hurt him if he loses to Khabib. If he loses to a no-mark, then we're kind of talking he's in trouble and that the star is diminished. This one is a win-win for McGregor going forward from this point, I'd imagine.
Well, yes, because the fans or people who are not necessarily the biggest believers in Conor think that this is the person for Conor to lose to. But I don't believe, for a martial artist such as Conor McGregor, that it is always about money. It is also about his legacy as well. He's never defended the belts. You know, he's fought at 3 different weight classes, but he's never defended his titles. So if he beats Khabib, he shuts every doubter up. He really does, because this is the wrestler that everyone has been afraid of. This is the one area that people think is Conor's weakness. So he does have a lot to prove. This is more about his legacy in terms of what you think of him than it is about the paycheck, I believe.
From the Khabib side of things, have we been hearing anything from his camp in the run up to this fight yet?
Khabib is extremely confident, but a fighter of his caliber, he should be. He thinks that he's going to take Conor down 100 times, drain him of his energy. He thinks there's no way that Conor McGregor is going to be able to stop the takedowns. And he wants to beat him up because he believes he has something to prove. He has something to prove about humbling Conor McGregor, and he has something to prove about beating Conor McGregor, where Conor is the strongest, which is his striking. And I don't believe that Khabib is going to try to outstrike Conor McGregor, but I think that he's going to be smart enough to try to get in, and that's what you have to do.
I might be wrong here, Phoenix, but on the front of trying to humble Conor McGregor, I think he might have a job on his hands.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Dave has been on to us, Phoenix, before he goes, saying, guys, I'm watching on YouTube. Kudos, Phoenix, for the Star Wars themed wall in the background. Not by accident, I'd imagine. No,
we're big fans here.
Big fans, very good. Thank you for your input for that one, Dave. You're not getting those posters, though. They are welded for those.
Nope.
Phoenix Carnevale, thanks so much for taking time out to speak to us.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much.
Cheers, Phoenix. We will be still talking to Chloe Watkins about their run to the World Cup final, the Irish women's hockey side, that is, very, very shortly indeed. But on the way next, Graham McCaughey.
Off the Ball on News Talk. Bobby's Late Breakfast.
Have you anything coming up that you want to tell the world about? You know we've a lot of listeners on.
No.
That's fine, so.
If things were busy, do you think I'd be here?
We called it a day, so. Carl Spain, ladies and gentlemen, he's a gentleman. He's from Limerick and we love him.
I thought he was the guy from Simple Minds.
Bobby's Late Breakfast.
Join me this Sunday morning from 9 and let me ease you into your Sunday.
On News Talk.
Bruce Betting, Sportsbook, Casino, and now Live Casino. Download the Bruce Betting app to see why for the Premier League, Bruce Betting are giving you more. With price boosts, live in-play betting, cash out, and ACCA insurance. Make Bruce Betting your Premier League bookmaker. Bruce Betting, in-store, online, and now on your phone. Please gamble responsibly. See dunlewy.net.
Gonna be a great flaming day.
Easy Living Summer Sale has been extended. For one more weekend, don't miss your very last chance on our amazing offers. All at Easy Living Summer Sale. Extended until this Sunday only. Your very last chance to save.
Gonna be a great day. Ain't nothing gonna stand in my way.
Easy Living, proudly Irish owned.
Daddy, get up! We're going to the park, remember?
Daddy isn't feeling very well.
Mommy isn't either.
Not again.
Why don't you go watch some cartoons? We'll be down in a minute.
Okay.
God, it was great crack, but it's so not worth it.
Yeah. Definitely drinking less next time.
Alcohol can affect your mood and your energy levels. Drink less and you'll have more time to spend with those you love. Find out more at askaboutalcohol.ie from the HSE.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Welcome back to the show. Just to let you know, things aren't going Burnley's way in the Europa League tonight in the first leg of their playoff round tie away to Olympiacos. They are 3-1 down, just past the hour mark there, and they've had Ben Gibson sent off as well. So not going the way of Sean Dyche's side tonight. Earlier, a 1-1 draw for Celtic away to Seduva, and Rangers are still scoreless with FC Ufa. We'll have Niall update us just after 9 o'clock on everything that's going on in the Europa League, and lots more besides. Still to come as well, more from Chloe Watkins on Ireland's run to the World Cup final in the hockey last month and what comes next for Graham Shaw's side. But the last hurling show of the season, I know, get the hankies out, went out on our social channels earlier. You can watch the whole episode